All right. Well, our little video intro isn't going to play today, but that's okay. We have a Cindi Flo, and let's put her picture up here. Cindi Flo, and she is the author of SandyBoy and the Christmas Blizzard, a book out for Christmas. We're going to have a good time talking with Cindi, and I want to thank Toner Products for sponsoring us. They've got great microphones, and on Thursday, we will be doing some reviews and sharing their different microphones. So that's going to be a fun time. And tomorrow, I'm actually going to be live with my daughter. And so tune in at, I think it's 10 Pacific time for that show. But right now, we are going to bring Cindi in and talk about her book. And Cindi, let's just get right into it.
Sure.
Tell people where you are and what's going on in your world.
Well, I am here living in Kennebunk, Maine. And so we are just getting into the holiday season around here, lots of festivities and enjoying all that Maine has to offer at this time of year. And so it also then makes it exciting for me to have my first Christmas book out. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, well, congratulations. You know, as leafing through the book, it's just beautiful illustrations. And, you know, we'll talk kind of all about the book and the story and your journey on there. But let's talk about how did you decide to become an author?
Well, it's kind of strange in a way. But when I turned 69, I was able to get my first very good, wonderful horse, whose name happens to be SandyBoy. And
Okay.
so I was searching for that kind of a horse. I wanted a grandpa horse who was well trained and lovable and would take good care of me. And so he was brought to my attention, and I decided to take him on. And I think he decided to take me on too. And so when I got him, it's been like 5 years ago now, just about, he had been moved from place to place, and he just kind of looked kind of depressed and down and wondering, where do I belong? And am I going to fit in here? And who is this new person in my life? And so over the past few years, we've just bonded so well. And he was underweight when he got here, and now he's a chunky monkey. And so, as we began to bond, and then other horses were where he's living, coming in and out and everything. And he's very lucky. His barn where he lives is right on the ocean. And so he can afford to live on the beach. I can't, but I'm not too far away. So
I tell you, my wife would be jealous. She loves the ocean. That is her favorite place.
So we do get a chance to do a lot of beach rides, and it's just awesome fun. And during the summertime, children are around a lot, taking lessons and doing things with the horses, and Sandy's been involved in that. And so I got to watching him with the kids and watching kids with them. And I'm a lifelong educator. I've been an educator for a number of years, shall we say. And
Mhm.
so I retired from full-time work, and then when COVID came and everything, I said, golly, I'm here there's got to be something for me to do. And I began thinking of him, and I began thinking of children and a lot of the things we were going through. And I thought, this might be a good time to try my hand at writing some children's stories. And so that's how we
Mhm.
kind of got started.
Yeah. So as an educator, and first of all, every time I meet teachers, I have to say thank you for protecting our future. Uh, what grades what did you teach?
I was primarily in high school and college.
Mm. Okay.
And
Mhm.
in the college area, I was in teacher education. So I was training future teachers and that
Nice.
type of thing. So I did that. And then I transitioned out of that into actually working with educational companies, doing things in marketing and sales, and working then when technology was just starting to come in, when the first Apple IIe was around and those
Yeah.
kinds of things. So I really kind of date myself when I talk about that, but working to bring those kinds of things and watching what's happening now, and all the way to when I left full-time employment, I was working with technology where we were early in the game streaming video with web pages. And it was like,
Okay.
ooh.
And here you are on Amazon,
Right.
uh, and people can buy your book. It is highlighted in the carousel. We've got SandyBoy and the Christmas Blizzard in the carousel. Let me just take a moment and tell everybody we are alive with Cindi here on Amazon. And so feel free to ask questions, put them in the chat, and I'll share those with Cindi and we get answers right away. The book is in the carousel. You can click on it, take a look on the inside. Beautiful illustrations. And I think Judy is actually watching this stream. So I'm excited about that. And then add it to cart and send it. With Amazon, you can put in the delivery address, send it right to somebody that could benefit from the story. So, Cindi, tell us a little more.
Well, as we began to take a look at the kinds of things that SandyBoy could share, I thought there are just some issues that children have that are not as easily dealt with sometimes by adults, whether it's their parents or their teachers. But children listen to horses. So I thought,
Mhm.
so let's make SandyBoy the bringer of messages and helpful lifelong lessons. And so SandyBoy is the one that really talks to the children. And in the first book, he was talking about his new home and some of his anxiety about that, and asking children, have you ever been nervous about moving somewhere? Have you ever been
Mm.
nervous about making new friends? And so the type of thing that children do go through. And then when we got into looking at weather and the holidays, it just makes a natural transition, especially up here in Maine, to be able to share what it's like when a blizzard comes. And so,
Yeah.
and his feelings about what was happening weather-wise. And he's made a lot of friends in the forest. So he got kind of worried about them.
Mm. Nice. All right. So teaching some great values.
That's what we hope. The messages, and from what I've heard from people and from children, is that they want to read the book every night. And they just really like the message, and again, the power of the illustrations, because I really wanted that to be as realistic, a soft touch, but as realistic looking a horse as he really does look, and
Mhm.
not necessarily a cartoon kind of character, that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the illustrations. It's I talk with people that have written children's books. They have when they're writing the story, they have in their mind this vision of what SandyBoy looks like. And of course, in your case, you have the real horse. And
I
so
have.
you can maybe share pictures and things like that. But finding somebody that can actually take what's inside your head and translate it. Tell us about that.
Well, Julie is phenomenal. I mean, she just is. And the more I got to understand her talent and everything. And the other great thing is she's right here in Maine. She's just a few miles down the road from me, literally. And so it's made it a really nice transition between the two of us to be able to talk and share. And she's come to the barn. and she's met the horse. And so
Wow.
that's also a very powerful thing, because it really helped her with some of the lines of the horse, and and that kind of thing. And so so that really kind of helped her get excited about it.
Hmm.
And she just dove right into it. And I'd go to see her to take a look at where she was, and all around her kitchen or her house would be posted all over the place with sketches and drawings of this. I'm going, and she said she had to make sure that in the different kinds of light and this and that. And I'm going, oh my goodness. So it's been a fun journey. And for her, working with me was I was their first author. And so now, interestingly enough, Diane Bame and I are really good friends. And so
Hmm.
Diane got to meet Judy, and guess what? So we've
Yeah.
we've launched a new artist.
Yeah. And so on Thursday, Diane and I will be here live on Amazon talking about her book. Well, I'm going to have to bring Judy on sometime. Hopefully, she's not
Oh
camera
yeah.
shy, and we'll
Yeah.
bring her on and talk about the books. I love the idea of having all these pictures around the house. It's like the perfect artist's vision.
Right.
So, what about the writing of the story? What was your process for that?
Well, basically, I'm still when I write, I still like to do it with pen and pencil on a piece of paper. And
Mm,
so I got started with that and trying to figure out what were the elements that would be involved in SandyBoy as in his new home with the first snow. What did that feel like? What did that look like? And
mm,
then how did that impact him, with his different friends? And so was figuring out, all the different friends that were in the forest that he gotten to know and identifying them. And then also he was worried about his new owner. And so how she was doing and
mm.
things. And then he got hungry and he was wondering, where's food? Sandy loves to eat. There's no problem there and stuff.
Well,
So all those different kinds of things just gradually made the story just come together.
mhm,
And I wanted him to be able to share with children, like in bad weather of any kind. Do you ever worried about animals? Do you worry about people who don't have a place to stay?
mhm,
So I'm trying in my own way to softly bring in, social issues that children are seeing around them, are wondering who's taking care of them, and
yeah.
that kind of a thing. And so as the story unwinds, that they learn that there really is somebody out there that cares for everybody, great and
Mm.
small.
Yeah, that's a great point, I think, because of the news cycle, right? It's 24 hours a day. It's on every device that we're surrounded with. Children are certainly not exempt from
No,
hearing this, and yet they don't have the capacity to really take that in. And I think it gives parents a challenge to how do they help their children navigate this?
correct.
And so this is a great, you saw an opportunity to provide something for the children, but also that the parents can keep on the shelf, maybe for themselves as well.
Well, and if you want to read an interesting Christmas story, and you want to, and children like horses, it's a nice one to be able to read. And when Sandy Boy asks the questions, then to have the discussion right on the spot with your child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting, and I think using weather as a because it's universal, right? We understand that. Even if you're in South Florida, you can still maybe relate to
Right.
some weather issues, right? Maybe not live through a blizzard, but you at least understand it. So now you're providing a great context and an opportunity for those parents to relate something to their children.
Well, and I think kids need to be comforted that that they are going to be cared for, that there is somebody out there that does care about everyone.
Mm,
And I think that's a thing we struggle with a lot of times. Even as adults, we wonder what's going on here. And I think kids feel the same way.
mhm. So, what kind of influences? I mean, obviously, as an educator, you have been around lots of books, lots of stories throughout your life. What kind of authors and styles have influenced you?
Well, I think, particularly in children's literature, it's those who have been able to present a real message and in a way that is meaningful and easily understood, and so
Mm,
that you don't have to dig real deeply. It's it's
right.
it's right it's right there. It doesn't mean that it's not important, but it's just easier for children to take in, and it's easier for the adults in their life to work with. And so I think there's when we look back at different kinds of authors, and I mean there's a whole realm of people out there writing really great stuff.
Mhm.
And but it's for me, I really wanted it to be as realistic as possible, and bringing through and using something that I know all kids like, and it just happened to be a horse.
Yeah, everyone dreams of a pony
Oh yes.
as a kid, right?
Hmm.
And even if you're in an urban environment, well, here's Sandy for
That's
you,
right.
right? Every child should have Sandy Boy in the Christmas Blizzard. Just remind everybody, we are talking with the author of Sandy Boy and the Christmas Blizzard, Cindi Flo, here on Amazon Live. The book is highlighted in the carousel, so you can click on it and order it. Perfect Christmas gifts. Cindi, I just can't imagine. Um, Books is a gift or just wonderful because they're going to be around for years.
They are. They are. And one of the things about this story is the ending, and I tried to craft it um, around obviously what Christmas means, but also being aware of some of the cultural kinds of things that children
Mhm.
are dealing with, families are dealing with, so that as the story ends and the blizzard lifts, then Sandy Boy looks outside the barn and he goes, "They're all my friends, but why are they out there on the hill looking out over the ocean? What's going on here?" And
Mm,
so he goes and he looks more closely and he sees the biggest, brightest star he's ever seen.
mm.
And he pricks his ears forward and he thinks he hears somebody singing. So he starts to whinny to sing along with them. And the last really illustration shows Sandy Boy in his stall looking outside, but then there's a small creche there, a small manger with kind of a halo around it, but
Mhm.
no actual child, because I wanted every child, no matter what their culture, their
Mhm.
color, to be able to imagine
Oh,
the
yeah.
baby there in it as being them.
Clever. Yeah. Yeah. That's, I think it that's important, because we just tend to gravitate toward people like us.
Right.
And when we see images that are different, we maybe feel excluded, whether it's explicit or not. So,
So
well done.
this way, any child can look and say, "Ah, that's where the baby goes." But
Hmm.
think of the baby
Hmm.
being more like them.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I love that imagery. And again, so you were working with Judy on these images, and to be able to create that.
It's pretty neat when you start to see it, put come together, and then figure out how many illustrations, and then
Yeah.
the verbiage that needs to kind of go along with it,
Hmm.
and then when you get it to the publisher who's going to actually put it together and things, and they have fun with it too.
Yeah.
And
Let's
one of
talk
the
about that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So one of the things that I'm also interested in is encouraging all children to be able to read. And
Mm,
some children have a harder time learning how to read because the way
yeah.
their brain functions, the way their
Hmm.
eyes move across the page. And so we were able to discover a font, a dyslexic font, so that children with dyslexia, the way the letters are printed, a regular child would just go along with it, not think too much
Hmm.
about it. But when you
Yeah.
see a heavier, bolder, the bottom of a Y or
Hmm.
other letters like that, it's just really important. And so those children feel like, wow, I can read this. And I think parents are looking for things of that nature to encourage their child
Hmm.
to read when they do have those kinds of issues.
Cindy, that really impressed me. It was one of the things when I first looked into your book and saw the fonts, saw that font. I recognized it right away because I've worked with high school students, and we were licensing that font specifically for the
Mm,
material that we're providing, so that we weren't excluding anybody that had dyslexia as a part of who they were. And when I saw that font, I recognized it. And I remember I went and told my wife, I said, "Look, this is what she's using." And I was really excited because it's no harder to print those.
no,
And it's no harder for people to read that don't have dyslexia. And yet you are not excluding anybody, just like leaving the manger empty so people could use their imagination, which is another huge aspect in children's books, I hope.
yes. You want to give them the opportunity to think and to create their own ending.
Hmm.
So you don't always have to put it there for them.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think
So,
the publisher, my publisher, Texas Sisters Press, is pretty much adopting that font for their children's books and maybe for some of their young adult books,
mhm.
but
Yeah.
specifically for the children's books.
Well, that's great because it's so easily, you can so easily be discouraged
Yeah.
when you're young like that and feel like maybe there's something wrong with you. We all want to fit in. And if you feel like because you have a hard time reading and you don't know why,
Yeah,
you have no
that's the
life
other thing.
experience. Yeah.
What's wrong with me kind of a thing.
Hmm.
And and if so children get turned off from reading, then, I just hate to see them just then gravitate and to the video games and spend their time doing that when they could be reading.
Yeah. Yeah. Books don't require an operating system. So
Correct.
no updates. We can still access them.
You
So
got it.
that's great. Let's talk then about the publisher, because uh, you decided to write the book. You're writing the book and illustration. What was that whole journey?
Well,
And yeah.
I was writing the book when I was going, oh, I've got to find a publisher.
Hmm.
And luckily, my good friend, who's also a wonderful author, Diane Bain, she had met this publisher, and it's a pair of sisters that are doing this. And so that was the connection.
Mm-hmm.
And because in the publishing world, as you well know, it's very difficult, extremely difficult, to get a quote contract with one of the big four publishers, that kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at either self-publishing or doing a hybrid. And I'm going, dang, I'm so new at this. I need some help.
I love it.
And so I,
Mm.
got in touch with Texas Sisters Press, and we just hit it off. They had a lot of the same kind of things that I was interested in doing and things, and the quality of their work. And so we just started talking, and then we decided, well, let's give it a whirl. And
Mhm.
it was something where I knew I'd be making an investment, but it wasn't a huge investment, something I could afford as a new author, which was also
Mhm.
important. And yet they have just shepherded me all along the way. They've been great.
Yeah, that's when I've talked to other authors too, that there are different ways to go. I mean, you can self-publish, you can have books ghost written, and promoted that way. And so you're going from very inexpensive to really expensive
Yeah.
if you go with the ghost writing and the whole that whole route.
Well,
But
and the whole thing, Scott, was when you get
yeah.
into this, particularly with some children's books, and this is something that you're doing for a reason much more than any kind of money.
Hmm.
You have to have a passion, a real feel for this, and know that what you're doing is almost a ministry to kids.
Hmm.
And so I think that's one of the things, that I have learned. It wasn't necessarily writing the story, but all the new stuff that goes along with it, with all the how you have to do all the social media and all the marketing and stuff. And I've been one that's just been kind of hesitant to get involved, and now, good grief, it seems like I'm posting every second.
That's good. It's they are the tools of today, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's how people communicate and connect.
Mm-hmm.
And people expect that now, right? They expect to be able to find out what's going on. And now you mentioned as well that this is a series.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Well, the first book is SandyBoy in his new home, and it talks all about how he came to literally be with me and stuff, and all of the changes that are involved when you're sad where you leave where you are, and yet you are anxious and kind of looking forward to where am I going and what is it going to be like, and so how he adapts to his new home and really falls in love with his new home and all his new friends and his new owner, and so and all along the way prompting children to think about their moves and things that happen to them and how
Mhm.
people go in and out of their lives and that type of thing. So that
Yeah.
was the first one. Then the second one is SandyBoy and the Christmas Blizzard, which builds on the fact that now we're going into another season and it's the first blizzard that where he's been here and things. And so I hope to have a series of 5 or 6 books,
Mhm.
and they're going to kind of still deal with the social emotional kind of needs that children have and some kind of cultural kinds of things. So I'm kind of working on what those might look like and how SandyBoy can help kids take a look at horses of many breeds and colors do get along.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so, so I'm working on a story map for how that will play out and things. So looking forward to that.
And I'm thinking that this is coming out of a lot of your experience as an educator.
Yeah, for a while I was very much involved. I lived in Texas for a number of years, and so I worked with the Houston Independent School District, and I
Mhm.
was very involved in the desegregation programs in the 80s and
Mm.
things, and so very involved with all the different kinds of kids that we had and mixing and mingling and dealing with all the parents and that. And so that has stayed with me, that whole experience. And it was a very
Mhm.
positive one, but at the same time, it was also very challenging.
Mhm. Yeah, we obviously we have a long way to go
Yeah.
still,
Hmm.
but we have come a long way as well.
Oh, I think we have. I think it's phenomenal. I think that's what the country's about, and
Mhm.
it's going to continue to do that. And we're just getting more and more cultures in this country, and we're just having to figure out how this is going to all work. And we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It does take effort and
Mhm.
intentionality and to think about this thing and be and willingness to speak up. I think
That's
as
true.
well.
Hmm.
When you see those opportunities and I'm thinking too about people that are well intentioned, but
Yes.
might say something like, John, my Asian friend, right? Can it just be John, your friend, right?
Right. Hmm.
Um, and just to say and to take that moment and say, maybe John's just your friend, and
Well, and I think the other thing is we have to understand that not everybody's going to like us.
mhm,
And we're not going to like everybody either, but that doesn't
right,
mean we don't respect them for who they are. And I
well said,
think that's a thing that we have to really work on. We're having some real issues with that at
yeah.
all levels.
Oh, well said there. That we can respect each other, and it's yeah, we will find people that we like and find people that we are not attracted to, but yeah, just respecting each other, treating each other uh, as human beings.
And horses have a real way in a herd of working things out
Hmm.
and who's going to be the leader and who's going to get along. And you better not be a bad horse and try to bite another horse for no reason because you might pay a price for that. So there's different things along horse behavior
Hmm.
that we can just translate into school behavior and group behavior and things that we
Hmm.
need to be aware of, and that in that whether it's a verbal thing or whether it's something that you actually try to do to somebody else. And horses have a real way of handling that.
Hmm. And it's great that you can take and translate that in such a way that it's not heavy-handed for the kids,
Right.
but guiding them in the right direction.
Well, we're certainly giving it a whirl.
This is fabulous. This is fabulous. So we are talking with Cindi. I'm just going to put the book up here so everyone can see it.
Sure.
There we go. So we are talking with Cindi Flo here on Amazon Live, author of the SandyBoy series. So we've got the two books, SandyBoy and the Christmas Blizzard is the focus right now. It highlighted in the carousel. I encourage you to click on it, take a look at the book, take a look at the illustrations. You can leaf through a little bit there, but absolutely add to cart. Just add to cart. In fact, get multiple copies, send them directly to people on your Christmas gift list. You can get it done right now. You can do your Christmas shopping right now for yourself, family, friends, neighbors. Maybe there's a school that you're connected with, and put this on the shelf. That would be a wonderful thing to do here as we close out 2021. It's been a tough year for some people, and they need a positive story like SandyBoy and the Christmas Blizzard. So, Cindi, I know that we were talking about the publishers, and one of the things when I talk to authors too, if they're going to go the traditional route, they say you got to get an agent. So it can take a year for the agent to find an agent. Then it might take a year for the agent to find a publisher. Then it'll take 2 years for the publisher to actually put your book out. So you're looking at 4 years, not including the writing time. From the time that you got SandyBoy till the time that the first book came out, tell us about the timeline. What happened there?
Well, in terms of actually getting the first 2 books out, I first met with the publishers earlier this year. Probably it was around February or so, because I was still deciding, was I going to really do this? And I figured if I didn't have a publisher that liked my idea, I didn't need to go through all of that. And so they fell in love with the idea of the first book and things. And so I said, well, okay, I now have a hybrid publisher, and that I could get going. And so that's what we did. And then I said to friend Judy, would you illustrate my book?
Yeah.
And she said, I'd love to. So having those pieces come together that early were fabulous for me. And so we were able to get the story written and to get all the illustrations done by June of this year.
Wow. Wow.
And so the first book was actually published in September, late August, September. And while the illustrator was working on the first book, I was writing the second book because I knew I wanted a Christmas book out. So then by the time we got that done, and to the publisher, that was like the end of August. Then it was October when the SandyBoy Blizzard book came out. So I've been extremely fortunate to get 2 books out in actually less than a year, and having a fabulous illustrator that she just worked her little tail off, and just kept, getting these things done. And so it was just incredible how that came. Very blessed to have it all come together that way. And it's unusual. Most people can't work it through that quickly.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I like on these author interviews here on Amazon Live, is to encourage people that look, it can, first of all, it can be done. If you have a story to tell, if you have an impact that you want to make, you have the opportunity to do that. And it doesn't necessarily have to take 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Obviously, with perseverance. So I would imagine that even though you did it in a short period of time, you put the time in. You must have been busy.
It does take time, because I looked at some other possible publishers and things, and you get to the point where you go, I just don't know, and that if once you make the commitment and sign the contract, you're going with that one. So and things. So it did take a little time, but once I made the decision that I wanted to go the hybrid route, not the agent route, because I'm going, you know what, Cindi, you've made it this far. However, let's make sure that we get some things done while you're still young enough to go after it. And that's the other thing I encourage everybody. I mean, I just turned 74 and I've published 2 books this year. I'm going, wow.
I
So
love that.
anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
That is so wonderful. Yeah, just being able to share these stories and the heart that you have, obviously as an educator, um, you have gone through some different systems. You've
Mhm.
seen ones that are probably the more supportive of the students and the teachers, and some that are not so supportive. And so, and here you are now taking all of that knowledge, energy, and enthusiasm and sharing it. And I imagine your friends and family have got to be proud of you.
You know, I think they are. And
Yeah.
then it's really it's just been, and everybody's been so encouraging, and stuff and things, and they want me to continue, going on and stuff, and maybe there's even a different animal to write about besides the horse. So, you know, different people come up with ideas, but we
Hmm.
all have stories.
Yeah.
We've all, gone through things as children and continue as adults, and we've seen hurting children.
Hmm.
And so whatever we can do to help.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're all given opportunities to help. They're presented to us. Then it's are we willing to say yes?
Mhm. And then you get to meet so many as you continue on your social media journey, you get to meet so many other really neat authors, and not
Yeah.
just in your genre, but in other genres, and
Hmm.
you see the whole world out there of how many people are trying to make a difference and are sharing their stories, whatever
Hmm.
they are. And I think more and more people, and particularly in times where we've been more isolated recently, I
Sure.
think it's a perfect time for people to reflect on where they've been and then sharing some of that.
Hmm. Yeah, and that brings me to another point too. Is that um, obviously you have the publishers, you have Judy doing uh, the illustrations, you have Diane as a friend who's also an author,
Mhm.
but you have another community, other members of your community that are authors. You mentioned some of these through social media, but what types of groups are you involved in that help provide support and encouragement?
Well, I'm part of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and there's a New England group of that, and I'm
Hmm.
also involved with Amy and her group with the authors group that she runs and things. And so those are incredible ways to meet people and to get fresh ideas and commentary on what you're doing and the stage what you're at, and also encouragement, because sometimes you just get to brain fog,
Mm,
and you need somebody just to say, hey, you're on the right track, don't just keep plugging away, and it'll come. And I think the more that we can do that, the better we all are. And I'd like to feel that sometimes I'm helpful to other people who are
yeah,
writing books too.
absolutely. It's in a process like that, you need that kind of support as you're going through the writing. Obviously people would think, oh, you come to writer's block, or you need some people to help get you through maybe some technical points. But to me, the hardest point would be when it's all done and it's ready to be sold, because you have control over whether you write or don't write,
Right.
but you don't have the control of someone hitting the add to cart button.
That's true. And I think one of the things it's been nice is that even in the short time that the books have been out, I've had some good reviews. And so when people can look on Amazon and look for the
Mhm.
books, they will see what some of the people who have purchased them and what their kids think or what they think as educators or parents. And that's really neat. That's you figure, okay, I said the message came through,
Mm.
and things. And so I think that's a neat thing. And people have sent me pictures of their children holding the book, reading the
Oh
book.
my.
And that just, I know, wow, and so those things mean more to me than, how many books are sold or whatever. It's the fact that those that have the book enjoy
Mhm.
the book.
Yeah. Yeah. Being able to positively impact a child's life. I
I've
can't
even had
think of
some children text on my website, they'd like to come and ride SandyBoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
So they like to come
Oh,
and meet him and in
mhm.
person and things. So,
Yeah.
that's fun when the children feel that way.
Yeah. Well, you definitely communicated and connected at that point.
So we're gonna continue to go down this trail, I think, for a while. And
Mhm.
and for me, in fact, Sandy Boy and I had a nice pasture ride today. So I told him, I said, I'm gonna be talking about you tonight.
Oh, that's great. I've had been fortunate to spend some time around horses, and they do have personality.
Oh, they do. They do.
Yeah,
So
and
I
so,
think, so I'm just hopeful that, as I continue to look for, topics that are relevant for Sandy Boy and stuff,
mhm,
that I think more things dealing with the seasons and how he experiences the seasons is a way to go. And also looking at some things, we have some issues with our beaches and our oceans.
mhm,
And I think that because we ride the beach, he can see some of those things, and he can share
mm,
some of those things with children
sure.
from what's happening and what we need to be more careful about, and things like that. And so there's just a lot of things out there that we don't really think about how
Mhm.
much animals take in.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because is the same thing in human rights. We've come a long way in inclusion, but in caring for the environment, we've come a long way in the way that we treat the rivers and other waterways. But there's a lot of opportunity for us to continue to be better, and maybe Sandy Boy can lead the way.
That's right. Well, all kinds of questions out there, like what happened to so many of the fish? What happened to so many of the fireflies? Where are they all gone? And I think a lot of us that are in our current ages look back and go, "There's some things we miss." And we wish
Mhm.
that kids could experience. And so, that Sandy Boy may be able to save a firefly now and then. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I think just being able to have that perspective, it again makes it not so heavy-handed,
Hmm.
makes it accessible for the children, but also something that they'll remember. Because I just think about the books that I read, or that my parents or grandparents read to me, that I still remember the morals, right? That
Hmm.
that came through there.
And I'm maybe a little old fashioned, but I think there's plenty of room to continue to try to teach those morals.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. There is some guiding, right? Some
Hmm.
guidance, and something to measure ourselves against, to see how we doing, how are we treating each other.
That's right. And what is it that we can do,
Mhm.
to help others? And I think that that's another whole area to continue to explore with children. And what does that really mean? And
Mhm.
I think we have to be careful, I think, out there right now with kids, because they're more isolated in some situations, or because they are allowed to spend so much time with a gadget,
Mhm.
that there's a perspective that's missing about what I would consider we call the real world. Not the make believe world, but the real world.
Well,
And
And you being a lifelong educator, and I know you're a lifelong learner because here you are writing books using the social media and connecting, and we're live. We're doing live video. We're pushing out into Amazon right now, and but I just I think of these opportunities for critical thinking, and
mhm.
and I know that that is another area that is probably lacking.
Oh, I think so. I think, and things happen so fast, and then then they're just repeated and they're recycled, and so without really looking at cause and effect. And I think that
Mhm.
that's one of the things that that we need to really do. And you know,
Yeah.
and and there's different ways of doing that, and not making it, like you use the term, heavy-handed, but
Mhm.
opening up the door for exploration, and to do some of their own, maybe individual little research, and it doesn't have to be on a gadget. They can go out and do it
Sure.
themselves, you
There
know.
was a study they did years ago with handheld calculators when calculators were just calculators, and they programmed them to give significantly wrong answers. Something like if you multiplied two whole numbers, it gave you a result with decimals, right? Fractional result. And students in general tended to believe the calculator, no matter even if it was radically wrong like that, right?
Yeah.
And it was really just an indication saying, we need to apply a little critical thinking. Does this really, what I'm seeing, does this make sense? What am I seeing on social media? Does it really make sense?
Hmm.
And to weigh it out. And so, uh, Cindy, I'm really glad that you have taken on the SandyBoy series and are providing these opportunities for some fundamental learning.
Well, I think, that as we move along with SandyBoy, that um, he'll help children discover some other things that are out there, and
Mhm.
things that are um, on his farm, and things that are on his beach, um, and then also bring in, you know, we have a variety of different types of horses up here. Where do they come from?
Mhm.
What do they like? And draw some comparisons to maybe some friends they have in school, that
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. There's lots of opportunities. I'm glad you've shared with us that you've got more coming.
Yeah.
Um, so we've got Sandy Boy's move. We got Sandy Boy in winter in caring for his friends, and there's more coming down the road. So people have an opportunity. And I'll tell you, the way that you are writing books, they won't have to wait long, huh?
Well, I've got to make sure I keep my illustrator tight too, because in fact, I know that she's working on another book right now for Diane. So I think Diane and I are sharing her.
Oh, that's wonderful. All right,
Yeah.
Judy, keep it going.
Yeah,
I could
so
just
it's
imagine.
it's really been a fun project, and it's something that I'm hoping I'm making somewhat of a difference for
Mhm.
children and families when they're reading them. And I think that there's room for a lot more people
Yeah.
to write more books for children,
Mhm.
and I think not they don't always have to be the blood and gore kind.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
But
It's
so
yeah, there's opportunities for we'll just say wholesome entertainment, right?
right, right.
And maybe provide some value and help to those children. But I would say you don't have to think, are you uh are you having an impact? We know you're having an impact because those parents are sending you pictures. Those children are asking to come and meet and be able to ride Sandy Boy. This is you are having an impact, and it's for the good.
And it's fun. And I think, that's the thing. Sometimes we get caught up in life and we start doing
Mm.
things that aren't so fun.
Yeah,
And and
sure.
and this is fun,
Yeah.
and it's and not to say that there have not been some times where I wanted to throw my hands up because I can't figure out how to do this particular social media thing or
Mm,
and
yeah.
stuff. But that just goes to show you that we're just all learners. We just
Yeah.
keep going.
And you
Keep
have a community that you can turn to. People to
Absolutely.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a local book club here, and these people keep saying, "Go, go, go!" And 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 and, um, and and what's really nice is I do have people that I can just take the story to and say, "What do you think?" And making sure that from an editorial standpoint that it's appropriate, for the young children, that the language isn't
Mm,
um, too difficult for them, and sometimes we tend to dumb things down, but we've got to be careful not to go over their head either. And so
mm.
that's an important thing, and to make sure that that it is Sandy Boy talking to the children and not me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be careful.
Yeah. Whose voice is that?
Right, right, right.
Oh, that's great. Well, as we wind down, and Cindi, thank you for joining us here on Amazon Live and talk about Sandy Boy and the Christmas Blizzard. It's just been fun getting to know you and learn about Sandy Boy and the journeys that he's had and that are coming up. If somebody wants to get a hold of you and maybe have you come and speak, or they want to buy some bulk copies to share, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
The best way is on my website, which is cindyflowwrites.com, and there'll be ways to get in touch to contact me that way, and links then to places where they could purchase the books.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's good. Do you do any speaking? Have you gone to events and speak? I mean, it's tough to go to events today, but
Yeah, well, it really is hard to go to events today, but I have been able to go to a few places, a school here or there that they like to have authors come in, but still under the circumstances, not as much as they used to. And
right. Yeah.
so,
Well,
everybody's having to be a little bit careful along those lines.
yeah.
So
It may be
there aren't
virtual.
even that many book signings, that you can go to because the, you're close to the person, and
Right.
it becomes an issue. And so, but we'll get through this,
We
and so
will indeed. We will indeed. And we'll be stronger because we
I
have
think
each other.
2022 we'll be able to get out there more, and I think we've all
Mhm.
learned a lot and more to learn with maybe how to live with some of these things. But
Mhm.
I think we can do it, and we can adjust and still be out there with people.
Yeah. Yep. And respect them. Respect
That's
all the
right.
people. Right.
That's right. I even posted on Instagram. I put a mask around Sandy Boy's snout, and told everybody, if you feel you need to put one on, Sandy Boy just he's encouraging you. So I use him in different situations to be able to share Instagram posts and stuff about what Sandy Boy's doing on a regular basis.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, just thank you so much, Cindi, for coming in, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk when the next Sandy Boy
Sure.
book comes out.
Well, I
Next
really
adventure.
appreciate this opportunity. It's been fun, and I just hope that we've been able to answer your questions in a manner that the people viewing are able to really
Absolutely.
get the feeling for who Sandy Boy is and what we're trying to share with their precious child in their lives.
Yeah, so books again are great gifts. I want to remind everybody we are talking with Cindi Flo. She is the author of Sandy Boy and the Christmas Blizzard, and it's there highlighted in the carousel. Click on it, take a look at the book, add it to cart, send it out. Do all your Christmas shopping today, right here. Send it out. Be done and know that you're providing a great gift. So, Cindi, thank you for joining us. I trust that the weather you'll be safe there.
I think we will.
All right. Well, I'm going to send you to the green room, hang out for just a moment. I'll bring right back with you.
Okay.
Well, it's always fun to talk with authors, and we got a new author, so Cindi Flo, who has decided after getting her horse Sandy Boy to start writing books. published 2 books this year. I hope that you're encouraged by that as well. And so remember, we've got my daughter and I, the millennial daughter and the mid-century dad, will be coming on to share some gift ideas tomorrow, and then also with Diane on Thursday, and we'll be talking about her book, also with illustrations by Judy Gaudet. So we're looking forward to that. With that, I'm going to sign off and tell all of you just to have a fabulous day. Cheers.